You are one conversation away from the life you want. This is a quote by Hormozi that have changed my life, or the way I think of life, or the way I operate in life, at least slightly, in the past 2 years. I've been avoiding conflict or confrontation for my entire life, but for the past 2-3 years, I've been actually seeking conflict. And now I'll be explaining to you this principle in a way that actually helps you succeed. And most importantly, I will also give you first-hand experience from my life in periods where I got fucked because of it and periods that I have succeeded because of it. So let's get started. So in this session, what I would really start with, or I would really like to start with, is the actual context or the actual rule. So Hormozi has famously said that you are one conversation away from the life you want. Meaning in our lives, usually we have few conversations, or at least one big conversation that we have to make in order to get what we want. But, there is a big but in here, we are avoiding. And the reason we are avoiding it actually differs because of who you are. Everybody has different standards, different reasons, but usually because it's confrontational, it hurts, and it's uncomfortable. And it's harsh, and you can say whatever it is, subsections in there. But such a deep-rooted idea, I think for me, it was almost a little bit interesting in a disturbing way. It's like, what do you mean, right? What do you mean that I have to actually do the conversations? Now, also, on the other side of this, I really want to also reference the book No More Mr. Nice Guy, which also talks about this topic of actually asking of what you want. So this book, The No More Mr. Nice Guy, talks about a syndrome. He calls it the nice guy syndrome, which is men who are nice guys who are usually they have lost their father. Their father is bad. They abandoned them, whatever, or he wasn't giving them as much attention. And later on in life, they've actually grow up with their mother or whatever, and also they almost have developed this idea or ideology or concept that they have to be against their father, or be the contrary of their father, like the opposite, which actually leads them to the way of almost getting away from masculinity and actually being too nice, almost too nice, that they always are personality pleasers. They do not put themselves together. They're afraid to be themselves. They're afraid to be bad. They want to be perfect. They want people to look at them as perfect. They're afraid if people know something bad about them, they abandon them because of what happened to them in the past, whatever bullshit, right? And he talks about how actually in marriage, which is insane idea, he talks about, especially for these people, for the nice guys, especially for these people, just asking for what you want actually helps you have a very happy marriage. In comparison, or on the other side, he talks about all the guys that in the 20 years of his experience as a psychologist, people came to him just because they didn't actually express what they wanted, or they didn't have the balls or the courage to just say, I want this, want this, want this. They had very bad marriage for both people. They were experiencing bad things, which just shows how crazy it is that human life works. If I want something and I don't say it, I don't enjoy my life, you don't enjoy your life. But if I want something, regardless of, I don't care about anybody else, that's my desire, that's my need, that's my desire, I want that shit. Okay, I'm gonna say I want that shit. You will be happy because I'm happy somehow, that's how humans work. We don't need to understand why, it is what it is. Now, going back to the concept of actually confrontation, or you are one conversation away from the life you want, or the dream life you want, Hormozi goes further and explains about this, and he says, a lot of the times those harder conversations are actually what holds you from your dreams or whatever goal life you want. And to actually achieve whatever you want to achieve, and I'm assuming if you're watching this video, you're actually a high achiever, you're probably a business owner, a businessman, you have goals, aspirations, vision boards, you achieve a lot of stuff in your daily life, probably train every day, read books every day, blah, blah, blah. But actually, if you want to get on the other hand of the side, the other hand of your dream, the other end of whatever it is, your journey, your dreams, your aspirations, your vision board, actually you have to be accustomed and used to actually getting through these conversations. Because once you think of it, whatever life you are aspiring for, you will have this conversation throughout your career that are so hard, so big, but you have to do them anyway. And a lot of the times, especially if you're aspiring to be, let's say, at the higher hierarchy, whether that be a CEO or a C-suite member or a board member or whatever it is, actually you will have to go through these conversations. And in this case, you're the only person who has to make them, because nobody are the employees or whatever, the subordinates will not make those conversations, and you are the only one who has the ability or capacity or responsibility as well to actually make those conversations. A lot of the times they're hard. Now, I think this actually gives us a pretty solid idea of what confrontation is, what actually is the idea. We understand, okay, good, we actually have to make a conversation, and this conversation we're actually afraid of because it makes us feel uncomfortable, but also if you make it, it will make us closer to our goals. Now, here's the crazy catch. A lot of the times, it's not only gets us closer to our goals, but it is the bottleneck of whatever situation we are in. It is just the bottleneck. It means without it, you will never, never succeed. It's not even going through the progress or getting closer to your goal, but you will never succeed ever. Because that's the bottleneck. To go to whatever it is we want to do, you have to make that conversation. Other than that, you are getting stuck. I mean, the easiest example, I'd say from my first-hand experience for me, I had social media. I've been doing social media for 8 years, whatever, and I have actually a Moroccan account, which is an Arabic account. Obviously, it's unlinked to this account because here I only speak Arabic. Moroccans don't understand. Here I only speak English. Moroccans don't really speak English. So this is completely unlinked, independent one. So for the Arabic content, I've been actually uploading entertainment content for years and years. And at some point, I really said, well, actually have to make some money. To make some money, you have to make a business. To make a business, I have to actually go through that hard conversation of actually asking people to whatever buy from business, because I have just started a business and I actually want people to buy from my service, use my service, blah, blah, blah. So actually to get to that point, I had to do so many things that people really didn't like it. And that's, for me, is such a good, easy version of the hard conversation that you have to take in order to get what you want. So in this case, I didn't only have one person that I had to take the conversation with, but actually in this case, I had to have thousands, many people that I have to take that conversation with and say, hey, well, actually, you know, now I have a business, repeated 1 billion times, and hey, here's my service, and hey, here's how you actually buy from me, blah, blah, blah. This is a hard conversation for me at the time, but if I didn't have actually took it, I wouldn't be able to have my business, I wouldn't be able to make the money that I've made with that business, with that particular service. And that actually can be actually the same with any business. Keep it in business, I'm assuming that a lot of you are actually business owners. In business, a lot of the times, a lot of customers gets to the point, ask you for the price. What's the price of whatever it is that they want to buy? That's a hard conversation as well. At least that's how I see it. It's a hard conversation to say, well, it's actually $100, $200. And especially if people are closer to you, which is also just the importance of actually qualifying avatars. Because for me, as an example, yesterday actually, a girl called me from my college and said, hey, I have a thesis presentation. I want you to make it for me. How much will it cost? I didn't tell her the cost because I knew she's not able to actually pay that cost and she's not my avatar. In comparison, 2 days ago, actually, another friend who called me, which is a group of men, this was a group of 2 girls and 1 man, and 2 days ago called me groups of 3 men that I know, they are quite close to my avatar actually, and he said the same thing, hello, I want to actually make my presentation, blah, 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 how much does it cost? I said, of course, welcome, here's the cost. Obviously, actually, it ended up not buying, but nevertheless, just actually the ability to actually say your prices is also an uncomfortable situations because people are just not used to it. Especially if you haven't been doing business for your entire life, you have been in college, whatever, actually saying the price a lot of the times can be a little bit tricky. I mean, obviously, if you work in a store or whatever in corporate and it's not actually your business or your service, it can be a little bit easier because you really don't care because you don't make the prices. You can lower them down and you can push them up. You just literally just execute. So that is a hard conversation. Now there is so many hard conversations. It's easy to give conversations when it comes to business, especially with clients, because clients ask you for various things and a lot of the times you have to talk with clients. You have to explain to them your business, you promise them things and actually negotiate prices. That's a lot of them are actually very uncomfortable. It's very uncomfortable conversations. And a lot of the times, more than that, you have to actually reject some clients, which was my case about 2 years ago, or not this year, like last year. So whether 2 years ago or 1 year ago, whatever you want to say it, last year, I actually had this conversation or whatever, this situation in my service that had too much demand and I was only one person to supply my service, so I really couldn't serve everybody. And also I had some priorities in my life at the time. And I had to reject a lot of people. A lot of people were pissed off really bad, right? That's a hard conversation as well. And a lot of the time, there's also obviously bad experience negotiating or handling. That's an entire experience. That's an entire thing, right? People are having bad experience with your service, which, spoiler alert, it happens, right? Whatever it is, whatever it happens, some people are gonna have at least 1 in 100, or let's say 1 in 1,000, whatever good your experience or service is. Let's say 1 in 10,000, for fuck's sake. Somebody's gonna come to you and is like, oh, actually you promised me this and this and da da da, and actually you didn't really quite deliver on it, and I'm actually pissed and I hate you and blah blah blah, and all the bullshit, right? That conflict handling, or whatever, bad feedback, bad experience handling, is also a hard conversation to make. Now let's go a step forward and let's make even more examples in different things, because I think this is where the highest leverage actually is, because in business it's almost known. Everybody knows that you have to say the price. Everybody knows that you have to handle conflicts or whatever bad experiences from clients. But not everybody knows how it is actually important to have hard conversations in life in general. I'm pretty sure you all have this experience in college where you have to talk to a teacher, whether you are late or whatever. We are with a group of colleagues or friends, whatever, and obviously all of you have the interest to actually talk with that teacher, convince him that you, for whatever reasons, you had to just come a little bit late and you want to enter the class. And in that specific situation, you see, actually, you can just observe, not even do anything, you can observe how 99% of those guys actually back up and aren't able to make that a hard conversation. Especially girls, actually, it's even more often. And even with men, for fuck's sake, all of them are afraid to do that. So in that specific scenario, that is a hard conversation. And that is a hard conversation that is one conversation away from the gym life you want. In this specific mini scenario, it's actually coming in the lecture, not getting, being registered as absent, and also to enter the lecture and continue on with your career or your day, whatever it is. Now, I gave the example of professor because it's so easy to actually remember so many cases. I can remember more than you can count in 100 hands, generally, of how much encounters that I had with people that are just so scared that they can't talk to its teacher. And to wrap this up for these examples, I'll give one example, which was yesterday at night. And I remember this actually very vividly because last year we had this almost a similar situation where a teacher, a professor in our class, was actually doing one of the no negotiating tactics, which is the illusion of choice. He was talking with the students and he said, well, actually, what do you want in the exam? Now, if you are a student, and let's talk frankly, you want the easiest question and you want to get 20 out of 20 without entering the exam. That's the extreme. So as close as you get to the extreme, the better it is. You want probably a QCU, it's actually French term, which is question with a unique answer or one unique choice. It's QUC, whatever. You got the point, right? These are probably the easiest, and probably you want one question and you already know the question, or he gives you the questions already pre-exam. That's the extreme, that's what you want. So when you are negotiating with the teacher or professor, you actually want to get as close to that as humanly possible. Now the teacher has actually used one of the tactics, one of the negotiating tactics actually clearly and beautifully explained in the book Influence, I'm pretty sure by Robert Cialdini, but in the book Influence, he actually talks about the illusion of choice. In this case, I'm the professor, and also it's very commonly, the example that's commonly given is with slaves, but I'll just go with this example because I think it's easy as well. With the professor, he's not gonna say, oh, what do you want? He actually gave them two choices, which is smart. He said, do you want, let's say, 20 questions and those are direct open questions, or you want 10 questions and there are multiple choice questions? And obviously it doesn't really take that long and they're like, oh, it's 10 questions. But actually it's the illusion of choice. Why? Because everybody here actually thought that they were so lucky and they're so brave and they actually won the bargain that they have chosen the easiest one. For the teacher, he actually knew and he gave the other options to give them the illusion of choice to make them feel as they actually have made the decision. Now, in this case, for me, I actually didn't say anything. Obviously, there's 87 people. I wouldn't, you're not going to talk instead of 87 people. So I let them do whatever. I don't care. I knew I was getting a 20 out of 20 anyway. I get 20 out of 20 anyway, a full grade. But the point is, I came back and I sent them actually an audio or a message in the group, explained to them how they get amused, how they get so wrecked that they didn't even fucking notice. And I explained to them how the illusion of choice and what you want is actually given the questions. So actually in your bargain or negotiating, you have to at least anchor it with this, at least, which is just to mention it at least once. So he's gonna be like, oh, instead of 10, at least he might give you 5, or at least you're gonna get a better deal, or at least the best you could get, which is the illusion of choice. So yesterday, it's the same thing. Yesterday at night, I actually sent my thesis for my supervisor. Now, supervisor hasn't actually yet saw it, but I'm pretty sure he will have a good experience with it, whatever, because tomorrow I have actually to present my thesis academically in my university. Okay, it's a project of end of studies. It's thesis, okay? Presentation, okay? So actually I sent them the conversation, I sent the presentation, PowerPoint, PDF, and also I sent a video of the application I made for my thesis, which was our thesis. Our thesis was too good of a topic. Actually, all credits are to the teachers of coming up with the idea of actually making an application for this specific scenario, although we are nursing students and most nursing students actually use just nursing topics, but we actually handled nursing topics using technology, which is making an application to solve nursing or health related problems, which is a very unique, the first time to have been done before in our university, which is amazing. Obviously, I have executed on it and made the application. Actually, because I had so much experience, I've been actually doing this business or service for 2-3 years. I know I've actually made this so perfect. Now, for this professor, I've sent them, as I said, I've sent him in the group chat, obviously, with my supervisor, my co-supervisor, and my colleagues. I sent him the PowerPoint presentation, the PDF, the video of the application, which is like how I actually use it, whatever. And also, one of my colleagues, she actually sent a message, whatever. But actually after that, I sent him, is there a chance that we can actually get a 20 out of 20 grade in the protocol and also the thesis presentation? So this, obviously my colleague, she was like, you can almost expect what her reaction is. And she just sent it in the group chat, like our colleagues' group chats, and she just said, put this emoji of like this, I don't know what emoji it's called. But the point is, most people aren't actually used to asking what they want. One of the books that actually talks about this is the 4-Hour Work Weeks. And you say, well, the 4-Hour Work Weeks is a solely business protocol. It's a heavily business book, really. It's one of the biggest, I'm pretty sure it's the most selling business book or something. And obviously it's by Tim Ferriss. In one of the sections, I'm pretty sure challenge 5 or 4 or 2, I'm pretty sure 5. But anyway, one of the sections, and I think it's one of the top 5, top 10 most favorite sections of the book, he talks about the ability or getting used to actually ask for what you want. And the exercise or the challenge he gives you, he says, for 2 days, you're going to go to 2 girls every day, so 4 girls in accumulative, 2 girls, and you're going to ask them for their number. I mean, the first time I was reading that, you can only expect a guy who has never ever in my life asked the girl for her number, how I feel. And I live in a conservative city in a conservative country. It's Morocco, and I live in East Morocco. It's very conservative. I said, holy fuck, what is he talking about? And here's the thing. If you read books, you have to apply what you read. Other than that, just don't even read it. I do apply every fucking single thing that I read in the books. Every fucking single thing. So I said, holy fuck, that's hard. And he explains it even further. He said the entire sole mission or interest of this conversation or whatever asking or whatever this challenge is not actually to get the number. Getting the number is absolutely irrelevant, but actually it's 2 things. Obviously it's the fear or facing the fear of rejection, but most importantly, asking for what you want and getting or having the ability to understand that there's nothing wrong for asking people for what you want. I mean, I'll repeat that again, because I think it's so important. There is nothing wrong for asking people for what you want. There is nothing wrong for asking people for what you want. It's just that simple. And I think it's brilliant. And Tim Ferriss actually, man, Tim Ferriss is so good in this specific topic. He said, obviously, you don't have to be a man. You have to go to the opposite sex, the opposite gender. And more than that, he said, I don't care if you're 20 or 50 or 70 or 100 or 200 years old, or 150 years old, you have to go and do that. Because it's not about the number, it's actually about asking for what you want and facing the rejection, fear of rejection. Which I think is so brilliant. It's one of the best things I've ever heard in my life. And obviously I did that about 6 months later. Imagine it took me 6 months. And you know what? Actually, I have to redo it because I have never done it since then. It has been more than a year. It has been like 12 months or 13 months. So maybe I have to do it again. You know, just go to random girls. Hey, I actually thought you're cute. And can I get your number? Maybe second time is gonna be easier, but the first time, trust me, that was shit. I felt like I was robbing a bank. Oh, I'm being dead ass, I swear. I thought the police are gonna be called. I was ready to run, my bike was nearby. I never asked a girl in my entire life for a number. I mean, now I did, for girls. Actually, I did more. Oh yeah, I did more actually, yeah, I forgot. Because I did it again. It was so crazy that I had to do it again because I found that shit is not normal. Being so scared to ask a girl for her number is absolutely abnormal. It has to be normal. Hey, I think you're cute actually, and actually I was with my friend and I just thought that if I could get your number. It's not hard. It's really not that hard. In practice that I should do that again actually. I'll make sure I make a video about it, you know? When I do that, see what my experience is, that'd be good. Well, let's wrap this up. The quote from Alex Hormozi when he says, you are one conversation away from the dream life you want is absolutely and completely correct. And obviously, in all these examples that I have been given from first-hand experience, this is not only great reading or books or theory or whatever entrepreneurs talking about it. Obviously, I have given you a lot of books and a lot of entrepreneurs talking about it. But also, I made sure that I give you from first-hand experience and how I have succeeded in so many things because I was able to actually ask for what I want. And actually, it's such a huge ROI investment, which is return on investment. Huge ROI has a huge ROI activity, and you can get a lot more than what you think just by asking for it, which is crazy. A lot of times it's like, hey, can I actually do that? Or can you actually give me that? And a lot of people be like, yeah, sure. You're like, oh, what the fuck? How did I pull that off? I don't even fucking know. But that's the importance of actually asking for what you want. Most importantly, is having those conversations that are so hard to you, so uncomfortable to you. And I think a lot of the times the exercise to do for this, at least how I do it, I'm pretty sure also it was a Alex Hormozi reference, is actually ask yourself, what's the hardest conversation that's between me and the life I want? What's the conversation that will get me closer to my goals? What's the conversation that I'm afraid to take? And I'll leave it here. Make sure to subscribe.